Hello and welcome to today's webinar. So we're going to be talking today about a really important topic for fleet managers, and that's managing rising fuel prices and taking control of your fleet spend. Now, fuel is very front of mind for everybody at the moment, specifically fleet managers. So we thought it was really important to have a webinar just to cover the topic in general and to touch on one of the features that we've launched at RAM to really help fleet managers combat that challenge. So today on the webinar, you have myself, and I'm the marketing manager here at RAM, and also our CTO, Richard Blount.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so the fuel crisis is very front of mind, as I mentioned. Can we pop that next slide on, Rich? So fuel prices have been impacted significantly for a number of reasons. Now, petrol prices have risen to up to 20 pence per litre just since February. The conflict in the Middle East is something that has obviously disrupted the fuel supply globally, and it's impacting people, but specifically fleet managers are feeling that pain. Unleaded now averages around £1.57 per litre, and diesel is almost at a staggering £2 at 1.91, which is the highest it's been for over 3 years. Now, for fleet managers, unlike other professions, we feel this so differently. Every mile, every journey compounds a cost, which then is impacted on the bottom line. And for context, a fleet of just 10 vans that's filling up weekly will be paying almost £600 more per month than they were in February. So that's a real challenge. And this is why we looked to relieve some of this pain with a feature which Rich can touch on here.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, so the timing was really important here. It's kind of almost the perfect storm for innovation. So we had the government had released the Fuel Finder API in about February. We had the impact in the Middle East, and we knew that our customers would be very interested in this feature. And we had what's known as an innovation sprint. So we had a kind of 2-week development sprint where we could take an idea from conception right through to production to kind of respond quickly to what our customers were looking for.
Yeah, completely. Something that we'd want to jump on and innovate to help relieve some of that pain. Now, the challenge itself with filling up is not necessarily an issue that is to blame drivers. It's a snap decision problem. The drivers of these fleets are usually stressed, having to do multiple jobs in a day, and if the van's low on fuel, they'll just make a decision of going to a petrol station nearby to carry on with their day because essentially the money isn't coming out of their pocket. And that default isn't always the most visible station. It's the easiest option that's available to them. Without that information to hand, it's just not going to be a smart decision. So it isn't really a driver behavior problem, really. It's just them not having that information available to make a better call. The solution that we've introduced is to provide that insight and that knowledge just easily at a glance to empower fleet managers. Now that then puts the puts knowledge in the hand of those fleet managers and gives them a better option to make better insight fueled by data, which really helps. And along with that insight, this can be tied in with some more insight from one of our newest products around vehicle health. So, Rich, if you'd like to take us through our new product for vehicle health.
No problem. So there's a specific type of unit that we have available that plugs into the OBD port of a vehicle. And the advantage there is, in addition to the kind of normal tracking and driver behavior, we now have access to things like the odometer of the vehicle. We have access to the battery health, the fuel level, so in terms of a percentage or liters, depending on which vehicles are compatible, and any OBD fault codes. So this kind of gives us this nice kind of comprehensive vehicle health view of the vehicle. We can show that on the website in the tracking app. Now, actually, if I bring that to life, Dan, in conjunction with the fuel finder, we can do a quick demo. So, as we've already mentioned, the fuel finder is backed by the government API, updating the forecourt prices every 30 minutes. We can show this on the map where the color coding can reveal kind of the cheaper and the more expensive fuel stations. We can filter on different fuel types, such as petrol and diesel, and then we can get directions. We know specifically where the drivers and the vehicles are on the map, and therefore you can find the kind of nearest and cheapest fuel station. So I actually bring that to life by showing you the product. So here we are in the new RAM portal. As you can see, this is where I currently am on the map, along with my vehicles, and we have this new kind of fuel finder icon on the map. If I select the appropriate fuels, so most of our customers will be interested in kind of light commercial vehicles and diesel. And as I move the map around, you'll notice that the color coding changes based on taking an average of the prices that are in view and showing in red the more expensive, and then in green slightly cheaper. And if I select a particular fuel station, I can get some more information about the other facilities available there. And if I right click on the map, then I can get directions to that specific fuel station from where I currently am located. You'll get a kind of sense of how far that is and the best route. And then, as I've alluded to, we also have certain vehicles can be fitted with an OBD unit. So there's a vehicle here where I can see that I've got 38% left in the fuel level. And if I actually go and look at a route replay for a journey this vehicle has made recently, then I can actually see how the vehicle was actually driven. So I can see the speed, I can see the engine RPM, and then particular relevance for today, I can see the actual fuel levels. So the fuel was 48% at the start of the journey, and providing I've driven fairly economically, it's only a short journey, but it's down to kind of 44% by the end of that journey.
Nice. Thanks for that, Rich. So as fleet managers, you'll be asking yourself, like, how can I get the most from this feature, and how can it benefit me, and actually help me with saving money and combating some of these challenges? And genuinely, we want people to take advantage of this because it's a really beneficial feature for fleet managers. So we recommend you use it proactively. So one of the things you could do as a fleet manager is just build it into your BAU, so that at the beginning of the day you're checking the fuel of all your fleets, and if you're aware of any that are going on longer journeys, that they are filled up or have awareness of a fuel station that's cost effective near them at the beginning of that day to fill up, and you get that message out to them. And you can also brief your drivers if they drive in certain locations where the most cost effective stations are. So if they work certain areas, for example, now that could be something beneficial. Now, one of the other things you could do too is utilize the fuel finder to look at the fuels, but then factor in the BP fuel cards. So if you are a Ram Pro customer, you will have access to 10 pence off every litre. So then you can add that to the savings that you're already making on the fuel finder to benefit almost double on those savings. So yeah, with that too, the smarter policies that you could build into your processes with your drivers. So you could say, for example, that they're only enabled to fill up a certain stations based on those costs, and that expectation is a rule or a policy within your business. And also, you could bake that in with the BP fuel cards, say that you only want them to use the BP fuel cards in set locations if it's more cost effective to do so. On top of that as well, it's not just about the fuel saving, but as we know, erratic behaviors in driving and performance can significantly impact those fuel levels. So utilizing the reporting for driver behavior within the RAM portal will enable you to identify people that are using more fuel through that poorer driving behavior. Now, with that, you could utilize your league tables for driver scoring. You could actually quantify some of those numbers and work that out and get quite granular with it now that you have this data available to you to make those smarter decisions and really take hold of that cost and not let it run away with you. Yeah, so that's the last slide we have. Now, we have had a few questions fire in, so I'm just going to go through some of those and we'll answer them accordingly. So the first question I've got is, how does the fuel price data update in the fuel finder? Rich, you're probably best placed to answer that.
No problem. Yeah, so we previously mentioned that there's a government API, and it's mandatory that the forecourts provide an update to the to the API within 30 minutes of any price changes, and then we take a kind of regular feed from that. So it's not real time, but it's as close to real time as we can get it.
Nice. Okay. The next question is this feature available for all RAM customers? Now, it is only available in the UK because that's where the data is available for us for, and it's actually on all packages for within the new RAM portal. So you have to be in the new portal as it's a new feature which works within that. So to access that, you need to go to portal.ramtracking.com. Now, if you are a RAM customer, you will have access to be able to get in there, just as you would do on your legacy platform. But I highly recommend that you lean into that new portal because that's where all of our new features will be developed in the future. So there's a lot of benefits to being on that platform. The next question is, can I use a fuel finder to direct a specific driver to a specific station? Yes, so fleet managers can identify that best fuel station on that live map and communicate that directly to their drivers as Rich did within the demonstration. And the next question is, can fleet managers see stations their drivers actually use? So as Rich highlighted on the demonstration as well, there was that route replay. You could see where the driver has stopped and filled up. So you could just essentially look back on those drivers and see where they're filling up within the portal. Next question is, what other fuel ideas do you have on the roadmap? More of a product question. So Rich, I'll let you take this.
Sure, thanks, Dan. So, as we've already described, these OB units, we're very much giving you a kind of real-time view of the data we have available. What we'd like to do next is provide kind of a more historical view, so perhaps add some of that fuel data into the reporting. And could we set up an alert? So, the fleet manager might be interested, the vehicles within the fleet that drop below, let's say, 30% of usage. So we could send you kind of an email or a push notification to the mobile app. We're also thinking about adding the data into the external API so that those customers that kind of do integrations with other software could benefit from these additional pieces of data.
Nice, that would be extremely useful and take away that manual element as well. So excellent. The next and last question I have is, will the fuel finder be available in the mobile app? Rich, I'll leave this one with you.
No problem. Yeah. So the tracking app has the fuel finder in it now. So this is the app that's used by the fleet manager, and I can give you a quick demonstration of that in a moment. And we'll also be adding it to the RAM Assist app, which is used by our drivers. And that should be added within the kind of next sprint cycle. So within the kind of next 2 to 4 weeks, we'll hopefully see that within that app. If I just bring that to life view, it's very similar to the web view that I've already demonstrated. You kind of have, here we are on the live map view where you currently are on your vehicles. You select the fuel finder, you pick that you want diesel, for example. It would scroll into the kind of where you are. They aren't only currently near me. So if I just scroll down to the York area, then you can see a very similar view on the map where we have the color-coded fuel stations. I can select one and see that additional information. And then again, because I'm using this on a mobile app, I can open directions natively within the app, and I can see kind of Apple or Google Maps show me the kind of directions and the distance that I am from the fuel station.
Nice. Thanks for that, Rich. We don't have any questions as of now, but if you do have any more questions, feel free to pop them in the chat and we'll answer them directly with you. We'll either get in touch or drop you a message. So please leave your details and pop them in there. Thank you very much for attending today's webinar. And thank you, Rich, for showing us a really great product. And feel free to feedback. We're always open to feedback on the products as well. And if you feel that anything could be useful within it or benefit the product even more, please feel free to leave a comment. Thank you very much. And thanks for showing us the product, Rich.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Done.